Furthermore, the U.S. does not, he's taking the position of the U.S. government, does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. This is the first time that they have actually went on a record saying this.
I just want to with my people. I just want to sing praises.
Family, if you don't know by now, we are going through a spiritual warfare. Now, you can ignore the signs if you want to. That's totally up to you. But if you are proactive and want a better life for our upcoming generations, then we have to pay attention to what actually matters. I had an entirely different topic that I wanted to discuss tonight. I even did the research on it, and I decided to take a break before recording. So as I took my break, I just popped on YouTube and I saw this particular video by the African Diaspora channel, Phil Scott. Now, there were other videos that I came across today. I didn't get a chance to click on them because sometimes you just get tired of all of the information and you just need to dissect and just disconnect from it all. But I understood that there was a meeting that took place at the United Nations, and Ghana was speaking on behalf of the transatlantic slave trade and basically inquiring about reparations. Now, we already know what's going on in our current situation when it comes down to foundational Black Americans. I'm just going to say that because that's the easiest thing to say. And the other members of the diaspora who currently lives in the United States. You don't have to go far to understand the climate that we're living in amongst each other. However, the discussion did take place at the UN where the Ghanaian president questioned the UN about the transatlantic slave. And the response that the United States gave has never been mentioned before. We've never gotten an explanation as to why we haven't been compensated as other groups who also went through atrocities. But it is a proven fact that no other people have gone through what we have gone through in modern day history. Now, this can be explained. It has been explained, whether you want to accept the explanation or not, whether you want to believe the answer or not, the answer is still there, whether you ignore it or not. But let's go ahead and jump into this video, and I'll probably stop it along the way so we can discuss and go. All right? Hold tight.
Now, this is the part that got me more so than anything, and I'm glad this happened. Furthermore, the U.S. does not, he's taking the position of the U.S. government, does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. This is the first time that they have actually went on a record saying this. Let me repeat this again. He says the United States, our government, does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. We're going to continue, but isn't that a sick and evil, demonic, hellish, whatever you think you want to call response? It was legal to make your strange fruit. Let me say it that way. It was legal to violate the men, women, and children. Did y'all think Epstein, like he's like the inventor of something? This is what they would do. See, it was legal, and because all that was legal at the time, we don't owe anything because, hey, it was legal. I mean, we don't respect. Stop telling us about reparations. It was legal. Once again, I'm going to say this much. President Muhammad, I appreciate you doing what you did.
Now, the correct response, I had to stop it because this was a pausing moment. The correct response should not have been thanking the Ghanaian president, in my opinion. I believe that all things work together for the good, Romans 8:28. So I believed that he was used in order to get this particular information. But I do not believe that the Ghanaian president was acting in the best interest of Black Americans, because we also understand the play that's going on with this global diaspora reparations thing that we as Black Americans don't have a part of. Not that we don't support, we support other skin folk getting what they deserve. But in America, we're standing on what we are owed here. It's a difference. Of course, we want other skin folks, again, to get what they deserve, but go after the right nation. Secondly, I acknowledge the fact that all of our so called tribe, if you would want to say it that way, did not get captured in the transatlantic slave trade. There were still some of us with our bloodline, with our tribe, that did not get caught up. However, since colonization, since slavery, we all had to disperse in our own separate lanes, building up separate nations. When those who came by way of the American or the Atlantic slave trade, excuse me, we met the indigenous people that were over here. A lot of the indigenous people that were over here had to go into slavery as well. Heard of the the brown paper bag test? A lot of them got caught up and reclassified as Negro. So we're all working together. We're all slaving together. We're all eating together. We all have living quarters together. Of course, we're going to mix, and that's why a lot of people are saying this ethnogenesis happened, because you have those who came by way of the transatlantic, and then you have those who were already here. And when you mix those two together, you're coming out with a whole different people. And it's my belief that we all come from the same bloodline, but we just got here at different times. We met up with our people here on this soil, those who came from the Atlantic slave trade. But in this particular case, I'm not going to give credit to someone on a different continent and I not know exactly if you were the one who sold my people or if you are the ones who sold my people. I'm not playing those guessing games. So let's carry on.
Not because of the reparations aspect, but you force them to admit what they never admitted before. They've never admitted that. They always said, well, why do I have to pay? Oh, it's been so long ago. That's what they've been saying. You wasn't a slave. But now they forced them to come out and say, well, it was legal what we did to you at the time. So since it was legal, no matter how much of an atrocity it was, we don't owe anything. Sorry. Once again, this is the position of the United States government and their ambassador at the United Nations.
So I'm going to stop it right there when it comes down to the commentary from Phil Scott. But I do want to make note of something. I want to say that I love everybody. I've said this numerous times in other videos. I love everybody. But there's a special place in my heart for my people. I treat everybody good. I treat everybody the way that I want to be treated. But there's something about when I go into the community, when I go into the neighborhood, when I go to the store, wherever I am, and I see my people. It does something to me. I feel safe. I feel secure. And although we all don't have the same mentality, we all are not the same people. A lot of us have been raised differently. We still have that essence that was imputed in us long before we can even realize, where we had to be together, where we had to stick together. Brothers and sisters, family, let me tell you this. And I know a lot of you do not accept it and don't want to hear it. We have got to stop giving power to entities that we believe are over us. The word white supremacy in itself, listen to that word, white supremacy. You're supreme. You're over. But I believe greater is he that is in me than he that is in this world. That's what I believe. I don't believe that there's no one greater than me, and I don't believe I'm greater than anyone else, but I know that I've been anointed and I've been touched. And I know that about you, my brothers and sisters. You all have a special light. That's why we are hated. The word tells us in itself, if they hated me, they gonna hate you. We don't have to keep asking the question, well, why they don't like us? We haven't done anything to them. Why? The answer is in the book. Let me tell you something else. I'm just gonna keep it 100% real, because I really try to watch what I say, because I understand that we all have different paths and we all have different journeys. Okay? But let's just recap on some things. When you look at the Asians, and when I say Asians, I'm talking about like the Japanese and the Chinese. A lot of them believe in Buddha. They pray to their Buddha. They're diligent to Buddha. And therefore, they're able to make moves throughout the earth. Okay? They work pretty much on one accord when it comes down to that. When you talk about the East Indians with their Hindu, they're loyal to it. They stick to it. They rock with it. Okay? They're making all the money, as much money as the law can allow them to make, in order for them to get security and take it back to their countries. But they're able to do that, and they're doing it. Same thing with Mandani. We had never heard of this man before in our lives, and all of a sudden he pops up, and now he's the mayor of New York. Speaking of New York, you have those who have lived in New York for generations now moving elsewhere outside of New York because of the things that are going on in that city. You have Muslims now on the city streets of New York praying on the streets, bowing down, worshiping, praying. Same thing is happening in Minnesota. So these people take their belief system very seriously. Look at Texas. The Muslim Brotherhood was able to get acres, hundreds of acres of land. They've built up a mosque, the largest mosque. They have communities now. And this happened in no time. No time at all. Just fresh over here in the United States and making power moves. When you talk about other nations, they believe in it. And granted, I'm going to tell the truth. Our book, the Bible, has been used against us for centuries. Go see the fathers of these different denominations, from Baptist to Pentecostal to Methodist to Protestants. All of these have the father of origins. Period. Point blank. We do have a God that claims us as foundational Black Americans. We have a God that claims us. And if you read in the scriptures, it describes not only his features, but features that look like us. We had to, when we did our worship thing back during slavery, do you understand that the slave master had to be in our worship services? Why? They wanted us to forget who we were. If you want to know why you were sold, and I've done videos on this, in Africa, it's because you were not the people. You weren't African. Why do we now in modern society believe everything that we were taught by our oppressors? Does that make sense? When you look at, just for an example, Wiley College, where the great debaters based their movie off of, those students were sharp. Why? Because they had a solid foundation at home. They studied. They didn't have access at that time to being indoctrinated. They had to get it out the mud for real. And they were far more intelligent and far more greater than what they thought they were. I hope this is making sense. And I'm not going to keep this long, but it's just important. We have to stop asking for a system that despises us to come through for us. If you can remember, in Alabama, if we're talking about getting reparations, reparations is going to take discipline. And I want to ask you something. Are you willing, you as an individual, to make that change, to make that choice? That means we're going to have to sacrifice some of the things that we like to do for the greater good. We're going to have to collectively come together and stop ignoring what's going on in our communities and what's going on in our nation right now as we speak. But if this is something that we really want to go for and go after, we're going to have to go about it a different way. The Alabama bus boycott was very effective. Why? Because they worked together. If it meant that they carpooled, if it meant that they all walked as a group after they got off from work, whatever it took, they were able to get results, but they were on one accord. They were on code. And let me tell you of another one. Now, we've been the 13% since forever. I know it's more than that. I know it's more than that, but that's what they want us to believe. So we're just going to go with that. Okay. If that is the case, then we're going to have to fight a different way. We're going to have to fight the way that our ancestors fought. We're going to have to fight in the way that our ancestors even fought back in Egypt times with the pharaohs and the slavery that took place back then. We're going to have to fight differently. Moses said, Pharaoh, let my people go. Pharaoh said, never. Okay, I'm going to send some flies, I'm going to send some locusts, and I'm going to send all that. Okay, now you see what's happening now, Pharaoh. Let my people go. Never. Never. And what happened? Frogs and the cattle and everything started dying out. That the food was dying out. Pharaoh, Moses said, Pharaoh, you're going to have to let my people go. Never. And the Most High told Moses, hey, tell our people to do this. This is what I need them to do. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And as a result of it, Pharaoh lost his son. The next morning star, Pharaoh lost his son. Moses said, Pharaoh. He said, Moses, get out of here. You and your people, y'all leave. It got to the point where even the people was giving away the Egyptians were giving away their silver and their gold. Like, just pray to your God to make them stop, make them stop, make them stop. They were giving their riches away. But the Hebrews won. They won. We just got to repeat the past. We just got to study the past. We got to put the pieces of the puzzle together because that's what we're doing now. It's an awakening. We're putting the pieces together. That's how we got to fight. On top of going to these hearings and going to these sentences. But when we're going to these hearings and we're fighting for reparations, we got to pray before we go in there because we're going into an entity where spirits already dwells, the powers that be. So we got to fight different. We created the Harlem Renaissance during the same time as the United States was having the Great Depression. Everybody is ready to take themselves off the earth during this time, except for us. We dancing, tap dancing, singing, creating jazz. Come on, let's put these pieces together. We got to fight a different way. Because other nations, they hold their gods very dear. Look at the Arabs. You have in New York City right now with Mandami. New York City right now, you got Muslims that's getting down on the ground, on the concrete, and praying on the streets. They even got it in the loud sounds. Even in Minnesota, they're doing the same thing. Y'all, these people are dedicated and they are not playing. They're praying to their lowercase God to conquer. And we gotta do the same thing. We gotta fight. This is a spiritual battle. And if we win the spiritual side of it, everything else is gonna fall into place. But we first got to get in line. Understand our entire history. Not just the one over here in America, not the one in so-called Africa, but our entire history. So don't be disappointed, Phil Scott. He just looked like he was just so disappointed. But you can't play by these people's rules. As you can see, we just listened to where they didn't think that slavery was wrong. They don't believe they owe us anything because it was legal. This is their system. You think we're going to win in their system? We got to have something much more powerful to change the hearts of not only those powers that be, but all of those people and nations that come up against us. But hopefully now we understand that it's not anything that we've done, but it is who we are. Family, let me know what you think. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please, let's have the conversation in the comment section. If you like this type of content, I'll bring you some more. Hopefully I'll get back to the content that I had originally. But as always, let's stay focused. Let's stay vigilant. Every Friday from 5 p.m. until Saturday, 5 p.m. It doesn't matter if you just said, bless my people. That's a prayer. That's a chant. That's an affirmation. Whatever it is that you believe in. Let's send up those prayers. It's very important, y'all. Prayer changes things. So may the Most High bless, and I love you all.